Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for the SCF 12 project pitches. So if you don't know, my name is Anke Liu. I'm the Senior Program Manager here at the Stellar Development Foundation, and or SDF for short. And SDF is a nonprofit organization founded in 2014 to guide the development and growth of the open source Stellar network. And that's also Stellar and Soroban. That is why we are here today. So today we are here to celebrate the SCF 12 submissions for the Stellar Community Fund. And for those who don't know, the SCF is an open application award program to boost development for startups and developer projects built on Stellar and Soroban. And it's managed by the Stellar Development Foundation, but as we all see here, it very much relies on community input for award allocation, structured discussion, and more. Community members play a heavy part in also the selection panel and soon also voting. And it's and we've been working very hard together to make this fund really optimized for its purpose, which is to fuel the ecosystem of Stellar and Soroban with awesome projects. So today's schedule is very exciting. So we have the projects from SCF 12 speaking who have already completed and passed proof of intent. And this means that they have already received an award equal, that all submissions that are presenting today have already received an award equal to 10% of their requested budget and have already completed their first deliverable or their proof of intent. So this is very exciting. So these are already submissions that have started building on Stellar and Soroban, and we are going to see in a bit how this will work. So first we got Sorobix, we have Horizon as a service, we have Qolaq mutual aid platform, useSoroban.app, Xycloans, Comet, Spatium Wallet, Chaincerts, FxDAO, and Tellus Cooperative. And there's not these are not all of the projects that have completed proof of intent. There were a few projects that couldn't make it because of availability, but you can check all of them out on communityfund.stellar.org/projects in more detail. And they will have each of these them will have 5 minutes for their presentation. So it's very short, and there will be 5 minutes for Q&A. So everyone here in the audience, make sure to ask them questions. And let's say so to watch the candidate screen, you'll need to click on it within Discord and exit when screen sharing ends. And only members with the SCF verified member roles and the SCF project roles are able to unmute themselves. For now, we do this for security reasons and just, to make the recording and make the experience a bit better. So if you don't have this role, that's all good. Just please use this chat box to ask any questions or ask to be unmuted to ask your question. And so we do operate in the spirit of SCF, so any inappropriate or unconstructive behavior, not in the best spirits of SCF, will definitely not be tolerated. And any feedback that any questions that are going to be raised should be constructive. And so, consequences if you don't do this, you can receive a timeout or possibly being banned from the server. So be kind and supportive to your fellow competitors. Generally, we have a really great ecosystem and community here, and I'm super happy about that. But so definitely be kind and know that everyone is a human here trying to do their best for the ecosystem. And so if time's up, feel free to leave any feedback in the candidates' individual forum posts in projects. So if you check out the SCF, so we actually have a community fund category here. So if you don't see that, make sure to go to the welcome channel, add the community fund role, and then you'll be able to see the project channels and you can engage with the candidates and ask them further questions. So that's it for now. I will stop talking, and our first project that is going to be pitched is going to be Sorobix. So let me quickly stop sharing my screen and give it up for this amazing team.
Hey folks, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sure. Just allow me to share my screen. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes. Yes, perfect. Get started.
Sure. Hey everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in. Thanks a lot community for having us here. So we are Team Sorobix. I'm Rishabh and I'm joined by my team members Hemant, who is Benro, and Shubham. We'll be presenting to you the Sorobix ID, your on-the-fly Soroban ID on the Stellar ecosystem. We submitted POI for SCF 12, and we'll just showcase you the demonstration and features we have built for alpha launch. So just highlighting why and where we thought of the product. Setting up Rust has always been tricky in the local environment. It takes an hour to just start with the first contract which you write and deploy on Soroban because of the Rust ecosystem. And this has always been a point of friction. So what is Soroban? It is an online IDE for compiling, deploying, invoking, and debugging Soroban smart contracts on the fly, so that new novice developers don't have to walk around and search through for setting up this environment. And how do we do this? So compiling Rust contracts is made easy by making a user-friendly IDE supported by a robust build system, and we have also enabled caching going forward. So you don't need any personal resources on your end. So again, the problem being takes a lot of time, especially setting up Rust. And our mission being visiting the Sorobix app, and with a single click, you can deploy Soroban smart contracts. So the technologies used here are Rust, of course, Soroban on its own, the Soroban CLI, Fast API, Python, and React for the front end. So the current features for our alpha launch and SCF 12 proof of intent were inbuilt Rust formatter, invoking pre-deployed contracts, compiling and deploying contracts on the fly, generating and importing your GS keys, and also funding it through the faucet on FutureNet, and emulating multiple users with these. I'll be demonstrating the Sorobix ID right now. So hope you all can see the Sorobix ID. Here is a quick walkthrough of how you can just get started. And you don't need to navigate outside the platform and just read through the instructions here. This is our execution center where we are creating multiple accounts where you can emulate different contracts and try out different functionalities. If I press on generate GS keys, essentially I'm creating accounts on the FutureNet and also funding them from the faucet so that you don't need to move away from the ID. As you can see, a new pair of GS keys have been generated. I can also edit this GS keys and import my pre-existing GS keys. Now here we have provided an ID for you to code along, and you can compile the contract. So we have given a hello world contract here for a boiler template. Now the compile contract takes around 14-15 seconds, where we essentially compile the Rust code into WASM. This should be done anytime soon. Yeah, so compilation successful, and you can see the error. Now I'll quickly click on deploy contract. This should essentially deploy the contract on the Stellar chain, and you should get the contract ID anytime soon. And as you can see here, you can then, once you have compiled and deployed, I think the contract deployment failed. I'll just try again. Meanwhile, you can invoke the function which you create after getting the contract address from here. So I'll just go to the functions tab. You deploy a contract address, enter the function name, followed by the function parameters. And you can also format the code from here. Just let me show you the format code here. Yeah, the code gets formatted, and I know a lot of us have a problem here. Let me try the deployment again from another account. I'll generate GS keys. Yep. Sorry for the interruption. I think there might be a network issue here. Meanwhile, I'll just show you we'll just wait and see how the function gets deployed. Yep, contract deployed. Here we get the contract ID. Address, sorry, my bad. I'll enter the function name, which is hello. Key name is 2, as you can see. I'll provide hello community. So I should essentially see community getting printed here. Yeah, hello community. So I think this works. There might have been an issue in me creating the GS accounts. Sorry for the interruption. So here is our GitHub repository, where we have the following repositories. Here is our front end. Sorobix API for the Rust API client. This is our Python API where we are migrating from Python to Rust. Here is our Rust formatter, and here is our CI/CD pipeline for Sorobix deployment. Here is our current timeline. We made the MVP during January, where we took part in Hackathon and we won the first prize there. Post which we took part in SCF 12 and right now are in our alpha for our community to test out. Post this, we'll be building the product according to our SCF deliverables, and we'll be integrating it into Soroban docs plus our beta launch by May. Here is our team. I am Rishabh and I'm joined by Hemant and Shubham. Thanks a lot, everyone, for giving us this opportunity. I believe the ID and Sorobix on its own will help onboard a lot of devs onto Stellar and Soroban. And we aim to make this a developer and a community-centric forum open to feedback anytime and every time so that new users can get onboarded easily. I hope you all liked our demonstration. We're open to questions and feedback now.
So the first question is, will a future feature be interactive walkthroughs as a learning experience, or perhaps allow people to create plugins a la Remix IDE?
Definitely. So we also plan to create Rust contract templates as well, so that you can actually invoke structs similar to constructors in Ethereum and Solidity, so that you can easily walk through previous templates. And we'll also be creating these interactive walkthroughs going forward, making a lot of videos and also creating our social media for the same.
Awesome. Awesome. Any more questions from people? We still have a few more minutes. Some people are typing, and in the meantime, I'll share some love here from the community. TDAP says, this looks awesome. Great work.
I'll just share this link as well on the chat for you all to test out and give feedback on.
Perfect. Yes, that was one of the questions. And Qolaq, James from Qolaq says, great work, guys. This is awesome. Any more questions? I have a question in the meantime. It's like, so have you built on smart contract platforms before?
Yep, we have. So our team has taken part a lot in other hackathons. I have been part of the Tezos Fellowship 2021, and I've also built on Celo and Ethereum in the past. My teammates Hemant and Shubham have been part of Summer of Bitcoin, and they have built on Lightning as well in the past. So we take part in hackathons together, build along, and have been building projects for the past 2 years now in the Web3 ecosystem.
Awesome, that's great. And is there anything that makes Soroban or this experience stand apart for you? Is there anything that you would do different?
I believe the community has been the first and foremost thing. Since the community is small and compact and everyone's willing to help each other, I have found this to be a much more appreciative and compact, intimate community than other where there is a little bit chaos. So I believe going forward, if we manage the same way, we'll go forward to becoming one of the community first people out there.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Well, it was lovely to see you. And definitely, if you have any more questions for the Sorobix team, feel free to add it in there. I believe you already added your project post, right?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Definitely. So make sure to ask it in the project specific channel and give some cool feedback. And next up, let me quickly check the schedule. I actually lost mine for a minute. Let me see who is next. Give me a minute. Next up is Horizon as a Service. So Tillman, feel free to come up on stage.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sorobix team. It's awesome.
Hello, my name is Tillman. Project is Horizon as a Service by Observer. What we're trying to provide is basically manage infrastructure for Soroban and Stellar. So we want to make sure that blockchain integration is seamless and scalable for businesses that want to build on the Stellar network. So a little bit about myself. I am a DevOps engineer with a passion for automation and kind of building up platforms with kind of like the different Lego pieces of technology that we kind of have available around us right about now. So one of the things, if you're currently building on the Stellar network, you have at some point in time interacted with just about every component of the Stellar stack. And as far as the Stellar stack, what we mean by that is the different software components of Stellar Core, Horizon API, the testnets, PubNet, the SDKs, and with Soroban, the addition of a Soroban RPC. So right now, the issue that we have various public instances of the Horizon API, and we have different community members that have different Soroban RPC nodes that are available to us. Right now, the problems that we have are the rate limits that we have for those public nodes are a lot lower than what companies or projects may be wanting to, or projects or companies that need for their projects. And also the reliability for these public nodes is kind of an issue because they're not generally recommended for production services. So with this, usually what you would have to do is you would either have to spin up your own instance of Horizon or spin up your own instance of a Soroban RPC server to interact with the network. So what we're trying to provide is just a easy way for teams and businesses to just be able to, within a few clicks, just be able to provision a Horizon instance or a Soroban RPC instance. So usually with the DIY approach, you'll go to the Stellar docs and just follow the documentation, or you'll go to Discord and ask them different members for assistance. So our solution, the first one is Observer Gateway. So we'll provide a gateway for Soroban and for Stellar Vanilla. So a few clicks, you'll get your API key, you'll get your endpoint, and then you'll have access to all of the networks for Stellar. So you can submit your transactions and look up the pretty much the state of the network as it is right now. Another solution that we're trying to offer is observer nodes. So with observer nodes, this is pretty much a dedicated cluster of that Stellar stack to where businesses may need a little bit more horsepower when it comes to supporting their environments. So we'll spin up dedicated clusters within the environment that they want, or pretty much within the environment that we have available to them. Now, as far as the business model for this, a lot of this is based off of just usage-based pricing. So for Observer Gateway, these are pretty much the calls per API. So for each API call, we would monitor that usage. So that's a metered usage for Observer Gateway. And then Observer Nodes, we would price those by the hour based on a bundle of RAM, compute, and storage based off of different tiers. Also, we would also offer enterprise solutions that kind of go a little bit deeper with the observer node. So we'll have more customized solutions and more customized support to kind of have a bespoke solution to support the different use cases that your project may have. So right now, the big competitors are Blockdaemon and GitBlock. With both of those, they are pretty well funded. The issues that you may have with those are if you're trying to sign up for them for Blockdaemon, you may have to pay for a whole month at a time. So that's a big chunk of money to try to get your project going. So since we're just a small project getting started, trying to go against these well-funded, long-established brands, we would have to kind of compete on basically what we have, which is being small. So we have to offer personalized customer service, simplicity in our offerings. Our focus is on Soroban and Stellar. So we'll have to offer simplicity in the pricing. So usage-based pricing just makes it easier for teams to get started. And the kind of flexibility and speed as far as what we're trying to build and where we're trying to go. So right now it is, Observer Gateway and Observer nodes with Horizon API and Soroban RPC. But later we can hurry up and spin up some different integrations to try to uh, integrate different reporting and analytics tools or event streaming and notifications. So that's the kind of things that we have to compete on, being a small firm.
Awesome. We're
So
getting on time soon, just so you know. Let's round it up soon. Yes.
yeah. So again, so pretty much with Soroban, that kind of brings different opportunities for this. Now, real quick, I just want to kind of go through kind of like a process for getting started. So right now we don't have any gateway instances. So let's go ahead and create one. So we'll go ahead and create our gateway instance. We'll go and put in our information.
Awesome. That looks great. And while he's doing that, definitely prepare some questions in the audience for Tillman.
And then you'll notice that right now, this is the kind of the per API call price that we have listed. So pretty much after you get subscribed, you'll have your list of subscriptions, and then we can go and then based off of your subscription, you'll get your API key, and then you'll pretty much have access to Soroban and Horizon endpoints for all of the networks. So this is kind of just kind of illustrate what we have for Observer Gateway. And that is it for me. Are there any questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tillman. That was great to hear. This is very necessary infrastructure, and we have some awesome questions there too. Morgan asks, solid Stripe integration, will there be a pay with XLM option too?
Yes. So right now, this is, for kind of like MVP purposes, but again, my focus is going to be on kind of like Stellar and Soroban. So yes, I would definitely make sure there's a pay with XLM option in here. So that's also I would have to lean on different community projects that may offer that solution as well.
Awesome. There's a question from Matthias. Horizon as a service. What would you say would be the #1 feature that I as developer will benefit from instead of having my own services set up?
Right now, I would say the if you are scaling, the #1 feature is that you don't have to worry about maintenance and management of these endpoints. Like right now, even if you're using the public instances, they are great for small projects or non-production ready workloads. I would say for us, it's this is we're backing this up with support, and we'll make sure we have the SLA in regards to what we're trying to offer. So right now, it's kind of basically that support that you would get as well.
Awesome. That's great. Well, it looks like we are on time, and it looks like there are some more questions in the chat. So Tillman, if you want to respond to those in the chat itself, and then we are actually ready for our next candidate. So thanks again, Tillman. This was I'm super excited about this, especially it's a core infrastructure for Soroban. Our next candidate will be Qolaq. So welcome Barry to the stage, or whoever of the Qolaq team is ready.
My name is Barry. I'm joined by my colleagues Dory, Reza, and James. So before I dive in really quickly on what we're building, I want to share a personal story on partially why we decided to build on Soroban and work with Stellar. I first heard Danielle speak at the Converge 22 last year, and I thought she was so dynamic, and she communicated the mission of Stellar and of driving adoption and inclusion really resonated with what we're building. At that point, I said to myself, "Now, it would be great, awesome, if we get a chance to work with Stellar on our project." So 6 months later, here we are, very blessed. We think Stellar is a great fit, not only in terms of the mission statement, but the idea of global reach for on and off ramp, fast transaction confirmation, and ease of that adoption for development kind of drew our team to develop on Sorobon. So that's a quick rationale there. So what is MAP? We're building a mutual aid platform to address the current problems facing the $5 trillion insurance industry today. So some of the problem are like the centralized decision process and direct conflicts of interest between the insurance companies and the claimant. So if we look back in history, right, the original format of coverage is the sharing of risks among group of people that lives in the same village or town. It's very simple. Now, the idea was to help those in the community that are in need. And we truly believe that as human beings that we have a strong propensity to do good and help. And we have empathy towards each other, right? So especially right now, if you look at some of the penetration for OECD and non-OECD countries, the penetration for the insurance coverage is actually relatively low. So, we can see mutual aid programs or businesses throughout history and in kind of different parts of the world. The most recently, we see groups coming together in the US during, Hurricane Katrina and Sandy, and also during COVID. So what are we trying to solve, right? So our solution to the current problems faced by the industry is utilizing smart contracts to execute claim process and distribution. Now, the automation will reduce expenses by removing significant operational costs and frictions, such as agent and brokerage fees, and the need to hold reserve at a centralized entity. Now, our map also allows community to determine whether or not to approve claims submitted by other members, where each member gets a vote, right? By handing the decision power back to the community also means that if there are no claims approved during the period, there's no need to contribute, meaning no monthly premium or annual premiums for the members. So we want to engage the community to determine and design the future programs as the platform grows as well. So how does it really work, right? So if say the member filed a claim with the proper document on our platform, the dashboard will allow the members to upload diagnosis or X-rays or doctor's note, medical bills or whatnot, or any other necessary document to present their case. So our engine and our third-party assessors will evaluate the claims and give the claim a score on the quality of the claims. Now, then the other members will see the claims on the dashboard and determine whether or not they want to contribute to the claimant within their voting period, usually 2 to 3 days, depending on the program that they're participating. Now, once the period is over and the votes are counted and say that if the claims are approved, the smart contract will execute automatically and collect contribution from all the members and forward it to the claimant's designated wallet address. So our initial programs will include critical illness, and you see the list of the targeted disease that we're focusing on, and also life. Now, we want to pick the easiest programs to understand so our members know what exactly they're contributing for. So in terms of business model, the best comp that we see today in the market is probably GoFundMe. That we extract a percentage of each claim when it happens as administration fee. Now finally, we're currently looking for different partners to engage, especially on and off ramp, potentially through Stellar's partnership with MoneyGram. And as we're targeting a more global community, we're trying to build a Stellar development community in Indonesia. We have encountered a wealth of talent and high interest in Web3 adoption in and around the region. And we're also kicking out to build our AI engine to evaluate claims to facilitate the claim process. So that's a quick summary of what we're building, and please feel free to connect with us. We would love to talk to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Barry. This was an amazing presentation. Also, it's really exciting to see, like, the actual one of the very first use cases that's so aligned, like product and user focused and focused on financial inclusion and access to financial services. Super excited. We have actually some questions here. People really liking this service. So for Qolaq, what procedures will you have in place to prevent fraud?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, right? So we initially we have engaged with the third-party assessors, one of the largest in Southeast Asia. We were talking in Southeast Asia as our primary entry markets: Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Philippines. And we have third-party assessors that has already been doing this business for quite some time, and they have a wealth of data that we can leverage on. So they're doing this already online, assessing with the information being submitted. All we had to do is connect with them through the API, and they can help us assess. And for statistically speaking, 99% of the fraud will be eliminated from this initial screen already. So we have been working with a lot of industry experts in this regard. Hope that answered the question.
Awesome. Yeah, and then a follow-up question would be, now that you mentioned the APAC region, can you provide some insight on the legal and regulatory aspects?
Yeah, so that's a good question too, because mutual aid has been around for a very long time and in different countries and different jurisdictions. Um, some jurisdictions doesn't recognize mutual aid as an insurance product because it's more of a regional thing. And we see a lot of Web2 type of instances where some of the programs are being shut down because they go too large too fast, right? So the way we position ourselves is that we don't touch any of the contributions. We're only acting as a pass through and administrator for the collection of all contributions and remittance. So we're positioned as a software company instead of a coverage provider. So that doesn't really that will preclude us from some of the regulatory constraints. And we have set up different entities in jurisdictions that are very stringent in the insurance space, that we can leverage the existing infrastructure and legal for a pivot. If we need to have a centralized entity, then we can pass through to the community.
Awesome. Last question. How would you deal with scalability? How would you deal with privacy, as the members would need to see the details to vote? So either or. We have a bit of time left.
Yeah. So the members will only see the scoring and the metadata on the diagnosis, and maybe like say the medication that the other members are taking. Will not see anything else other than the public key for the Kingman. And let me see. Scalability wise, I think that it will take some time as we go through the development and adoption. We believe that the Stellar and Sorbonne is capable of handle the hopefully that we get the membership base up, and we're leveraging the on and off ramp of so many different countries that we will be able to enter. In terms of the name, Qolaq is a name of an Indonesian dessert. It's shared during a time of celebration that's shared among people, and people gather together to share food, right? So we thought it's an appropriate name so that the community can join together.
Awesome. I really like that. That's really great. And it looks like someone from your team just like put a little bit more like details into that. Take a look at the chat. This is amazing. So thank you so much for answering these questions. So if you have any more questions for Qolaq, please put them here in the chat or in the project's channel, like in the project's forum posts. And we are ready for our next project, useSoroban.app. So Morgan, come up onto the stage. And thanks again, Barry and team, for presenting.
Thank you, Anka, and thank you, community, for attending this thing. It's been a real pleasure and joy being part of the Soroban development journey. I got started in November of last year, and in total, I think it's close to 3 months that I've been involved, and I've done amazing things with you guys. And I can remember the moment back in December, late December, where I felt a little bit like Steve Jobs on stage when he was sort of talking about the multi-touch interface on stage, demoing the iPhone as a breakthrough that would leapfrog all the experiences that are out there. And so I had a similar epiphany when it comes to the development experience, or the sort of the playground experience of smart contract development. And specifically, that's to do with the way Soroban integrates Rust, a host environment, and WebAssembly executables. All of these components put together enable development environments and development tools that I think no other chain can do. So useSoroban.app is my purest expression of me leveraging these technologies to create a breakthrough development experience. And I'm going to show you Soroban in your browser. So hopefully you guys can see it. Should be pretty legible. And so what we have here is useSoroban.app. You can open up this link, and it's got a code editor, right? We have some Rust code in here. And let's uncomment this stuff and click compile. So this is going off to the Rust cargo compiler, compiling, and boom, we have a couple more sections, or as I call them, widgets. So as a developer, you're working on some code, and then boom, on the right-hand side, you have your actions bar. Now, what's an action? So an action is every single public function that your contract exposes. And how do you interact with your contract? Well, you could call things, you can issue transactions, but really in this environment, you just click a button, okay? And by clicking a button, you're actually calling into this contract. You're getting the real value parsed and fed back into the browser, sort of like any other JavaScript developer would use at console.log in the browser. And that's 10, 20 million people that know how to do that. So that's all fine and dandy. And we can explore a little further. So let's say I make a mistake of some sorts. Rust has an amazing compiler that helps deal with mistakes. So we have a compiler error. I purposely did this, and it's mismatching the types here. So I declared a return type even though I don't return anything. And so in the editor, you can see I'm hovering over the mistake. It's pointing me to the line that has an issue, and I can go ahead and fix that. And again, Rust is super famous for amazingly clear compiler errors, and I want to surface that to the developer, because at the end of the day, the goal is to introduce joy to the development process. So we have a second function here. The first one just returns hello. The second one takes an argument. Now, how do we deal with an argument? Well, we have a modal where we can, say hi to SCF. Click confirm. Now what happens here is this blue line indicates the function that I'm calling, or the action. Anything below that and before a left pointing chevron, which is the return value, is all my logs. So I can put any kind of log I want in here and be able to put it out there. So just testing, okay? Compile this again. I have a nice shortcut to be able to do that. And I can go ahead and see the second log in there. Now, if I want to disable logs, I could disable that, but I'll leave that on for now. So this is all fine and dandy. We have a development experience, and we're enjoying these things. And by the way, this is all simulated in the browser. The entirety of the Soroban host environment is in the browser. So I can do things like, really quickly call these things, and they pop up. There's no delay. It's like a completely different flow for a developer than what we have with other environments. I'll go ahead and showcase a more complex contract. This here is an increment with accounts. So since I'm simulating the whole Soroban host environment, I can deal with accounts in a unique way since I'm not tethered to any testnet. So an increment takes 3 accounts. I have Alex, Bart, or Callie. I can select one and call the function. I don't need to remember like complex sequences of 32 characters and whatever. As a developer, all I'm interested in really is I'm calling this function with a specific user. And if I want to call this function again with that user, I just click the left-hand button and it remembers the last arguments that I provided, or I can go ahead and change this to Bart.
Awesome, Morgan. A little time warning. Yeah.
Okay. I'm also deeply integrating with the Soroban environment. So let's say if I write a comment on this function and compile this, the next time I call this function, takes arguments, I can see the comment I wrote right in the Soroban contract. So deep integrations with Soroban, a simulated host environment so you can run things really fast in your browser, and I'm trying to return joy to the developer experience. And lastly, I'm really focused on the mobile side of things. So let's see here. I'm scanning this thing. This is run it on your phone type of thing. So this is the live version of the website, and I can go ahead and call this contract on my phone, play around with it, learn how this thing behaves on the phone, because let's not forget, mobile contracts will be the #1 use case for smart contracts in the future. And it's good to have a way to test that on your own. So this sort of completes the demo here. I have what I think is a beginning for the best playground experience in the market, the best test experience, and this thing is going to be in public beta in April of 23. And that covers it, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was amazing. I love the QR code scanning too. Like, you really prepared this one. All right. I don't think actually, let's say lots of people are very excited. I mean, we definitely see during these pitches that there is a business use cases and then there's developer use cases. And it's really exciting to see all the diversity of use cases. There's a question of someone here in the chat. Is there an offline version?
No, there isn't. It's all online on useSoroban.app. It's a paid preview alpha at this point, but I don't see a reason for running offline. There will be an export though. So whatever you write, useSoroban.app, you'll be able to export whether it's the WASM executable or the JavaScript project. So to continue working on your own.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think there's lots of love being shared here in the chat. It's awesome. Also, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. We are at 65 people here in the chat, so give it up for yourself. And thank you so much, Morgan, for presenting. And if you have any questions for Morgan, please feel free to ask him here in the chat or in their project post on the project's channel. Awesome. Well, it looks like we are on time, so thank you, Morgan, again. Our next project is coming up is Xycloans. So, Dap and TDAP, get on the stage.
Hey, everybody. I'm Federico, and I'm super excited to present you in this SCF Xycloans, which is going to be the first FlashLong protocol on Soroban. I'm going to give you an overview on Xycloans, and then you're going to see with my teammate Tommaso a demonstration of what we already have. Let's dive in and understand briefly what flash loans are. You can read flash loans are a very important DeFi feature that allows you to borrow any available amount of assets without any collateral, as long as you repay the loan within the same transaction. And if you don't, the transaction will revert. So that basically means that with flash loans, we're going to have a riskless lending. They're mainly used for arbitrage trading and collateral deposition related operations. And we think that having a well-structured flash loan protocol on Soroban as early as possible will be very beneficial for the ecosystem for a number of reasons. It will for sure attract more liquidity. It will bring more traders to the ecosystem, but it will also attract more developers. What is Xycloans then? Well, being a FlashLoans protocol, Xycloans is going to allow you to borrow through FlashLoans any supported token. And on the lender side, you're going to be able to provide liquidity and earn a riskless yield. As I said before, FlashLoans never lose liquidity by design. Let's now take a closer look at our protocol. As you can see, we can divide it into 4 main components, which are the smart contracts, a web app for lenders, and a graphical contract builder app. Also, we're going to have a backend that is going to help for like querying data and not interacting with the contract every time. But we're going to get into that later. So the smart contracts, which represent the core of the protocol, consist of FlashLoans plus vault pairs for each token. So the lenders provide liquidity through the vault to the FlashLoan contract, and such liquidity can be accessed by borrowers calling the same FlashLoan contract. Then, thanks to the fees charged to the borrowers, each FlashLoan contract will generate yield, which are of course variable and depend on its activity. And those profits from each FlashLoan contract are stored in their respective vault, from which the liquidity provider will be able to withdraw them. And yeah, this, the ownership of those pools is managed through fee ownership shares, and I'm not gonna talk about that in detail since I think I don't have time, but you can check out our late paper to find all the needed material. An important aspect of the protocol is also that these smart contracts are connected to the users through a proxy, which is very useful for upgradability. Can you hear everything correctly? Okay.
I can, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, just checking. I had some lag here on the screen. Okay. Then, let's see the other part of the protocols. We're going to have a web app for lenders that is going to allow them to manage their money, and it's going to be the point of access to the protocol for them. So with this app, they're going to be able to provide and withdraw their liquidity in the FlashLoans, and we'll also be able to monitor their investments, keeping track of how much yield they're earning from all the different FlashLoans that they've put money into. And also, they will have the possibility to explore the different lending opportunities, and they will be provided with statistics and data about each FlashLoan. We're going to have then a backend, which will listen, as I said before, to the protocol activity, and will construct a database that can be queried by the front end. And this is, of course, for efficiency reasons. Okay, so now we arrived at the last component of our protocol, which is an addition that we are very proud of, which is the graphical contract builder app. In this app, the borrowers will be able to graphically build their contracts that interact with Xycloans without any coding, knowledge, or Rust experience. And we believe that this feature will attract much more users since it allows traders that already operate on other blockchains to migrate instantly to Soroban and use our FlashLoans without necessarily know how to write a smart contract with Rust. Okay, great. So that's it for me. This was an overview of the protocol, and I'll leave you now with Tommaso, if we have time, who is going to show you in action what we already have of the protocol.
So this is a little preview video about borrowing through Xycloans. So I've just shared in the chat a link to a GitHub repo for it's just like my workspace for what you're seeing in the video. So the video is speeded up, so it's not really clear what's going on probably. But what we're doing is interacting with our contracts on FutureNet, which are already deployed, and you can take a look at them like from the repo I've shared. And I'm running this borrow.sh script that is basically like calling a set of contracts. So first of all, we have deployed our receiver contract, which is the contract that will be called upon borrowing. So for example, if I'm arbitraging, this contract will be the one that borrows, that buys on a marketplace and sells another. And then we are calling the proxy to borrow, and lastly repaying the flash loan. And what we're seeing in the end is the balance of this receiver contract, which is 9.5 lumens, which is the it's 10 lumens. That is the profit it has generated during the call. This is actually fake profit. But in a real use case, it could be generated from arbitraging, for example, and that's minus 0.5 lumens, which is the fee that is going to go to the protocol and then to the lenders. So that's it. You can also try it yourself from the link I've shared. It's a bit very developer related, but I think it's nice to give it a go. So yeah, that's it on my side.
Awesome. Thank you so much, team. Yeah, we are a little bit on time, but there's one question here from Morgan. TDEP, what was the hardest part in developing this for Soroban?
Well, I guess that I think the thing that like took us the more time is probably like figuring out how to work with the vault. So the lenders are actually they're getting these features that are owner fixtures, but it's a mechanism where you don't have to lock in money for a certain period of time, so your liquidity is like completely up to you when it's on the protocol and when it isn't on the protocol. And to do this, like we've had to mix up some formulas that exist for vaults and for yield in general, and this was I guess kind of the hardest part, together with probably figuring out how to structure the protocol, given that there aren't any other live protocols on Soroban as of now, at least not ones that I've seen on FutureNet. So that was also quite a challenge. But yeah, I guess mainly the figuring out the vaults part was the most difficult part.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much for letting us know. And I think like this is really exciting, like use case of like what's starting to become like a really DeFi, right? And I'm super excited to see how this actually plays out. It's definitely not easy, and like navigating an interesting landscape, but something that could be really aligned with our vision in the future once live. So yeah, super excited for this. We are 2 minutes late, sorry for that. But our next project is Comet. So thanks again, Dap and TDAP, for presenting. This is amazing. Looking forward to see your work. If any more questions, feel free to add in the channels. And yeah, let's give it up for Comet.
Well, good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending on where you are. We're Team Comet, and we're building a weighted pool AMM on Soroban. So with a Uniswap sort of V2 XY equals K pool, there's a lot of sort of well-known problems that they face. Two of the main ones are high and permanent loss, or IL, and also limited liquidity provisioning. And so, for example, of high IL, we can take let's say a Stellar XLM and a USDC pool, and let's say that the pool weights here are 50-50. So this is the traditional XY equals K model. In the scenario where XLM goes up 100% in value, this 50-50 pool, the LPs of the pool will see about 5.7% IL. On the liquidity provisioning side, these XY equals K pools only have 2 assets maximum, and this leads to very limited and not optimal liquidity provisioning, as we'll talk about soon. So to address these problems, we're building Comet, which supports multi-asset weighted pools. And so if we take the same example from the previous slide, and we have an XLM and USDC pool, simply by modifying the weights. So let's say we now have an 80-20 pool instead of a 50-50 pool. In the exact same scenario that XLM goes up 100% in value, this 80-20 pool, LPs will only see 3.2%. 7% IL. And for reference, on the previous slide, we saw that LPs in a 50-50 pool of the same pool would see 5.7% IL. So overall, the 50-50 pool would have a about 75% higher IL than simply tweaking the weights. And this only gets better as you add more assets. On the increased liquidity provisioning side, because these pools can allow up to 8 assets, more asset pairs can share liquidity. And because of that, traders can have lower fees because there's a decreased need to sort of do what's called multi-hops in a transaction, right? So instead of going through many 2-token pools to do a transaction, you can do a transaction in one larger 8-token pool. So for some sort of visual depictions of the math, we can see here on the left-hand side is a chart that's fairly well known in DeFi land that shows, so the y-axis shows the impermanent loss, and sort of the further down you go, the higher the impermanent loss. And the green line shows a XY equals K sort of 50-50 pool weighted setup, which is, Balancer 50-50, but also the same as Uniswap. And so you can see that the green line is consistently below the orange and blue lines, which are the 80-20 and 90-10 weights respectively. And this is sort of demonstrating the effect of sort of pool weights on the IL, as we talked about in the previous slides. On the right-hand side, we just show a super sort of simplistic formulation of some of the math behind our protocol. So, the top shows basically V as a value function that's sort of constant between the B values, which are balances, and then also the numbers and the exponents are weights, essentially. So the top is showing a 2-token 50-50 weighted pool, the middle is showing an 80-20 2-token pool, and the bottom is showing a 40-30-30 weighted 3-token pool. In terms of looking at Balancer as a sign of product market fit. So Balancer has around actually 1.3 billion TVL in this bear market, which is a very large and awesome number to see. And the revenues generated from the protocol exceed actually about 170 million. And so it's definitely shown a lot of product market fit within the overall crypto and DeFi ecosystem. So why Comet? We want to sort of extend the Stellar ethos of building for real-world use cases. So our sort of core 2 focuses are use cases that are focused on a basket of products. So two ones that are extremely prominent in traditional finance are FX products and also index products, as both sort of require baskets of assets. And in general, weighted pools, as we've seen with Balancer, provide a sort of core building block for any healthy and growing DeFi ecosystem, which we believe Stellar is. And so on our team side, we sort of have a lot of previous experience across different protocols, across different ecosystems, and also sort of back-end engineering and also traditional finance hedge fund world as well. And in summary, so we're Comet. We're providing multi-asset weighted pools, and this allows for sort of lower costs, greater liquidity provisioning, and is a core DeFi primitive that wants to support real-world value, and we want to start with FX and index products. Thank you guys.
Awesome, super exciting this, and definitely really looked into this, really have a great knowledge of how the current problems are headed. And so Morgan also says this is probably the clearest description of how Uniswap v2 works I've ever seen. Crazy. So that says a lot. I think people are still typing, and if you have any questions in the audience, feel free to ask them now to the team.
I had a question. What are the drawbacks, or is there any drawbacks to doing like the 80-20 thing instead of 50-50?
Yeah, so there's a couple of sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so and I guess in general, it depends on sort of what the so mathematically, yes, there's always going to be differences between supporting different amount of weightings, and then also pool balances. I think it really sort of depends on sort of what is the what is the pool trying to achieve. So for example, it wouldn't make any sense to do an 80-20 sort of, let's call it a stable pool, right? Where it's for example, like there's a lot of DeFi protocols that support stable swap. So those you always want sort of 50-50 or 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, etc. And so the drawbacks, we sort of showed this is obviously for volatile versus a stable, right? So Xycloan versus USDC, and that's where the math plays. Again, the IL is always going to sort of err based on what the assets are and weights, etc. And so in general, there I would say isn't really it sort of depends, right? So for example, if you kind of can bucket it out into sort of stable, then 80-20 doesn't really make any sense, right? And versus a 50-50. But I would say for volatile, so for example, like a volatile stable asset, we sort of showed in our slides that the IL looks better. And so it really depends on sort of what the assets are and what is their actual sort of, we call it quote unquote underlying ratio between them, because that's where sort of the pools trade eventually, right? So like an 80-20 pool is best where you believe there's a sort of 4-to-1 underlying sort of exchange rate between them, if that makes sense. And so it just depends on what you're sort of trading and what you kind of expect the sort of
And
like
also, it's about how you balance. Yeah, it's about how you balance a pool. They call it like balancer for a reason. So normally when people want pools, they'll split volatile and stable assets together. Whereas if you have a pool of, let's say, 8 assets and they're all incredibly volatile, you might experience a little bit more impermanent loss. So it's up to the users that are creating the pool of what types of assets they want to support. But having more choice is generally better because you can create more stable products.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Awesome. We have time for one more question. Matthias asked, just a little curious about the FX part. It was only mentioned at the end. I guess explain a bit more about how the FX part works. And then
so the FX part is like, so we're going to be supporting stable assets. So you can think of these as like stable coins or assets that people issue on Stellar's native chain. So we'll be supporting those assets as well. So you can think of like, let's say like the euro or the US dollar or whoever is supporting these like centralized stable coins. So pretty much that like foreign currency exchange and stuff like that. So these are like real world values that people can actually, let's say, get a yield on stable coins or the currency in their country.
It's a pretty core primitive, like we've seen with other ecosystems. Once you kind of have sort of the core FX stablecoins, as you might call them, trading in pools, then you can also build a lot of sort of derivatives on top. So we've seen kind of examples from other ecosystems we've been a part of, or sort of have interfaced with, Cosmos, Solana, etc.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It looks like we're on time, and there's actually another question for y'all in the chat about like what pushed you to Stellar, but please feel free to answer that in the chat or in your project channel. We are actually ready. So thank you so much, like team. Like this is really exciting. Like really like starting to like get into like the innovation aspect of Soroban. So super excited to see you building on this. All right, Chaincerts. So that's actually the next upcoming one after Spatium. Chaincerts.
Sure.
Can you present?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen really quick. Okay, guys. Hello, everyone. We are really excited to be here today. My name is Juan Hurtado. I'm head of engineering at Comet. Comet is a tech talent and innovation incubator. This pitch will be really different from the past ones. So I'm presenting you a product. We also are the team behind the Elixir SDK for the Stellar network. So Chaincerts is a this is a modern and decentralized solution for the outdated and unreliable world of certifications. So I'm going to start talking about the problem. The way we manage and present certifications nowadays is outdated, is inefficient, and unreliable. It's really challenging to try to check the authenticity of any certification. Traditional methods like paper and PDFs leave room for falsification and manipulation. Chaincerts is a cutting-edge platform that allows that transforms how certifications, digital credentials, and achievements are issued, verified, and showcased. Chaincerts allows organizations to issue secure, non-transferable, and revocable soulbound tokens in the Stellar network and manage them through smart contracts. These will allow individuals and entities to present their certifications in a trustworthy and straightforward way than ever before. Chaincerts is secure and tamper-proof since use Stellar blockchains as the consensus network, is trustworthy, uses smart contracts and prevent human manipulations, is efficient because allow anyone to easily check the authenticity of any certifications, is also a visually appealing solution because provide to the end user engaging visualization methods. Our approach is to introduce the innovative concept of soulbound tokens or identity tokens within the context of Stellar and Soroban. These soulbound tokens are part of a bigger picture of decentralized society ecosystem where souls or communities and people are the most emergent properties that allows to create plural networks. So I'm going to explain a little bit how the Chaincerts system works. There are a few concepts involved in this platform. The first one is the issuance. This is a decentralized application that will allow organizations or any institutions to issue digital certificates. As an issuing organization, they can revoke any digital certificate at any time. This will deploy a Soroban smart contract. We call it a governance contract because it's in charge of allocating and revoking the certificates that the organization want to issue. Other concept important is that we want to keep the ownership since recipients create a certificates wallet, which is also a Soroban smart contract that allow them to store securely their certificates. Recipients at trust organization, it's similar to the trust lines in the Stellar Classic network, but this time with the organizations, in order to allow them to allocate certifications and revoke them as well. We use the wallet contract to display the credentials, so the final user can use them to share in their profiles or social media platform. And the final step is the verification processes. It is a simple process, like you just checking a verification hash or even scanning a QR code that will allow anyone to easily check the authenticity of any certificate. This is our first proof of concept before joining this round in the Stellar Community Fund. This is our first proof of concept, so we wanted to make it, but this time it rendered this 3D model of a certificate, but this time in a web browser. So for our proof of intent, we did it. Let me show here really quick. All the information here of these certificates are backed by the Stellar network. For this proof of intent, we use the Stellar Classic network to issue the soulbound token because by design, the assets from Stellar allow to keep the properties of soulbound from non-transferability and revocability of them. So everything you see here is backed by blockchain information. So you can explore the demo.chaincerts.co, and see how these certifications works. Okay. Okay, team behind this. Yeah, okay. Really quick. Time behind this is Comet. Comet is a tech talent and innovation incubator from Latin America. This is just a part of the team. At least 9 engineers work for the proof of concept. And that's it. Join the revolution to transform the future of certifications. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. This is awesome. I love this is really cool design also, like, and the SCF Verified Member and SCF Startup Camp. You might have to introduce us to it. Maybe we need to adopt that. We have a few questions actually. Let me go back. There's a lot of, should these certificates allow clawback? What do you think? This is a question by Matthias.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. But for the next step of our project, we want to move the concept of soulbound tokens into the Soroban smart contracts. So we want to use the revocation processes from the Soroban smart contracts. But for this prototype or for this proof of intent, yes, the clawback is enabled for the certificate right now.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. All right, let's see. Any other questions? Oh, here's some question says, how long have you been working on the project?
Well, this project came up in Comet. We run internal training programs. We wanted to provide the people who succeed in this program blockchain certification. So we started building this proof of concept. We designed the initial video, and then we move into the Stellar community realm. We develop everything from the scratch, and I would say at least 2 months.
That's awesome. Such great progress already in 2 months. And last question is, what is the roadmap? Any date when it will be public?
Yeah. We expect to have our MVP for the decentralized application that organizations will use at the end of May.
Wow, that's awesome. That's coming up so soon. Yeah, we say, whoa, in the chat. Awesome. There's also another question by Matthias, but I think we are on time and we need to, I guess we can quickly, so Matthias says, just to be clear, by soulbound, you are referring to the same concept by ETH or Vitalik, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's the same concept from decentralized society.
Awesome. Well, this is awesome. Great. I love the idea of certification and that has been doing on Soroban and the designs are just great. Let me know once you're ready to integrate with SCF. Would love to see what that could be. And we actually have our next candidate coming out. So thanks so much, Juan, for presenting. FxDAO is our next candidate. So Enrique, come up onto the stage.
So first, I will start with who I am and actually what I'm going to show you today. Basically, I'm Enrique. I'm a software developer and I'm the creator of Spatium Wallet. I've been in the Stellar ecosystem for a few years now, and now that we are going to have a smart contracts on the chain, I feel it's time to start creating more decentralized stuff. So FxDAO, I'm going to show you actually what is currently being done in the FutureNet, and it's actually public, because I thought that everything that I could say today in a presentation is already in the community forum post and also on the website. So I thought it's better to just show you what I have done already. FxDAO, just to start, is basically a protocol to issue decentralized stablecoins based on borrowing backed by Lumens. This is basically the same process some stablecoins use. DAI is an example, and also the one from Liquidity. They have been working in the Ethereum blockchain for a long time. Even during the crash in 2020, they were actually handled really well. So I think is one of the ways to go in the creation of decentralized stablecoins. So basically what you can see here in this website is something I want to do is all the process, all the development I will be doing is going to be public. Every few weeks, I will be basically deploying the latest contract to the future net, so everybody can just test it out. Of course, everything is just protected for now, so it's just in the future net. But basically, the idea is that you can just come to the website, lock your lumens, and basically receive a stablecoin in exchange. Just the same way the MakerDAO did it at some time, and also Liquidity does it currently. The idea is why having decentralized stablecoins? Well, because sometimes in the crypto space we live in a bubble that sometimes we believe everything should be like it's working right now. And as somebody that I myself was on bank a few years ago, and I spent more than a year without bank accounts, I understand how difficult sometimes is to actually transfer value in that regards. The problem is that with the stablecoins, there are always the same denominations, US dollar, euro, but most of the time it's just the US dollar. And I think we should find a way to actually to issue more denominations around the world, because a lot of countries actually will benefit from that. So using lumens as the backend for the value of these stablecoins will be like a great value added to all of the communities. So, but let's just see a little bit how it works. Again, this is everything in the future net. So if I go to the website and I want to create like a new vault, for example, if I check my wallet, I have like this test asset. Everything is just for test now, and if you see somebody in the network selling an asset with the same name, trying to sell you that is something for not, it's a scam. Don't do it. That being said, let's just create a new vault. For example, let's say I want to lock 3,000 lumens just to get 100 euros in value, and well, it's missing the trust line, so it's basically just doing it first. And after that, it's going to actually to create the vault into the smart contract. As we can see, I'm calling the new vault function and actually just using the symbol for the euros. The protocol can handle every denomination: US dollars, euros, Chilean pesos, Argentinian pesos, everything. But at the beginning, I want to start it by just a few of them, because if we try a lot of currencies at the same time, we are going to actually like fragment all of the liquidity. So that's maybe not the best way. I saw questions. I will handle it later. So we have the vault created. We can pay our debts, increase our collateral, increase our debt, everything else. Now is in my wallet too. So like everything is working right now, but just the basic logic. So this is not the first deliverable that we made, but is now an updated version of that first deliverable we made a few weeks ago. Now it's handled multiple currencies, and yeah, basically that's what the idea of the protocol does. There are a lot of other features that are going to be included in the system, and most of them are actually listed in the documentation of the website that you can visit in FxDAO.io. So yeah, basically that's what I have.
Awesome. Well, this is really exciting too, and it's like also like just to mention, like Enrique is here from also created Expo Wallet, so give it up for Enrique being part of such a core infrastructure piece in the Stellar and Soroban ecosystem now. Yeah, I see a lot of fire symbols. Awesome. Let's see, we have a few questions here. So Enrique, like if XLM is the backing currency, I guess the most basic question is how do you account for risk and volatility, or just over collateralize it?
Yes, it's over collateralized. The protocol in the documentation, we explained that we use 115% of over collateralization. A lot of people will say that's too low because, for example, they use a bigger number. But what have we seen in other examples, for example, the one from Liquidity, is that if we open the liquidation to everybody, like, for example, as soon as a vault is under collateralized, everybody on the network can just liquidate and profit from that. That helps in basically keeping the protocol healthy. All of that is actually explained in the documentation. Basically, liquidation, how it works, and percentages. But yeah, the main thesis is that it always needs to be over collateralized.
Great, awesome. And Morgan says, Enrique, great job, and Virgil says the same, and also ask a question: how many people are working on the project right now?
Yeah, right now basically we are two. I've been the one that is actually coding, but my partner, she's always handled the legal side of the project, because some of the features that we want to do is that we want it to be as decentralized as possible. And because of that, we are going to basically create an entity specifically meant for that. So she's the one that actually handles all of the legal side. So it's like I'm on the coding part of the project, and she's on the legal side of the project.
Great, awesome. Let me see. There is last question from Matthias. Well, should an entity actually be entitled to judge on how knowledge acquired is used? A certification provides proof that you acquired that knowledge and not how you use it. In that sense, clawback doesn't seem right. Do you have any comments on that?
No, actually, I think that's for the project.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying here. All right, I think then that is all of the different questions that we have. Anyone want to ask any other question? Unmute yourself. Let me see. Now's the time.
Just real quick on the scale, like what do you picture like end of year in terms of like total debt issued, collateral, TVL, that kind of thing?
Okay, yeah. Being honest, I will be realistic. I don't expect it to be in the 100 millions at the end of the year, because we don't even have that liquidity on the Stellar right now. So I will say that I prefer the protocol to grow slowly, like Liquidity did it at the beginning, instead of increasing at fast track like Terra did. So that way we can actually prevent any type of issues if we see them at some point. But I will say if I get more than $1 million of that issue at the end of the year, I will call it a success.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And this is awesome, Enrique. Like, super excited to see the progress on this as well. And you know, especially from like Expo Wallet, seeing now this Soroban implementation. And as TDAP says, we can't wait when you come up with the governance side as well. So thanks so much for presenting. We are ready for our next project, which we have 2 projects left today. And so next project will be Tellus Cooperative. All right, come on to the stage.
So hi, I am Bastian Alexander from Tellus Cooperative. I'm the CEO and founder. Our organization, we try to call ourselves a DAO first company. We've been around since 2019, and our goal has been to empower Latin America with decentralized solutions, to incorporate local economies and the working class to cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance, but with a sustainable focus, right? The problems that we want to solve is that we see a lack of equitable access to banking services. Just in Chile, which is our main focus right now, there's 26% of people with no banking access, and that's a lot. And we can see similar cases across Latin America. There are negative externalities that the traditional banking has. The lack of equitable access is just one of them. And there is a lack of adoption for other cryptocurrencies in general, just simply because DeFi is difficult to navigate for the everyday user. It's a complicated topic, and we need a way to really present this in an easy, digestible way so people can take advantage of DeFi, especially now that Soroban is out and we're starting to build on it, right? Our solutions are multi-tier in nature. We've been working with Stellar for quite a while, and we've been kind of navigating how to make this the best possible way. So we have little projects working, but at the end, they're all in synergy. The first part is to onboard and educate new users. This would be our actual central CeFi solution, a private solution. We'll be launching a wallet with an on-off ramp. But we want to lean very heavily on education in this app. We want to really teach people how cryptocurrencies work, cooperatives work, and a DAO could work. Now, we really see a parallel between cooperatives and a decentralized autonomous organization. As part of this, we've been part of the ecosystem building DAO tools. The previous Stellar Community Fund, we built a voting platform that we're fixing up right now to add more types of voting. And we're working on a bounty hunting application to try to get more developers excited about Soroban, and hopefully developers from Latin America, so they can help us build this ecosystem. We also build a forum, the community forum for us, so we can start talking about how these proposals can look in the future. We want to use all these research and incorporate it to local businesses in Latin America. We've been also working with a point of sale, an actual hardware that we want to do open source, so people can actually receive different incentives just by going to your corner store in Chile, right? We want to also do this open source so people can tinker, but we want to offer it as a private solution for businesses too in the future after our wallet is out. These are a few screenshots of what we've done in the past. We had our Cooperate page, which works with basic voting with Vanilla Stellar, where people can vote. Right now, we are incorporating this to our Bounty Hunter app, which is going to be a larger DAO. And on the right side, you'll see our learning platform where we're posting videos in Spanish, teaching how crypto and blockchain works in general. And we are posting some Soroban videos soon. For our proof of intent, we have worked on a bounty hunter app, and I can show you a little demo right now. Can you see the demo? Is all good? I hope you do. So basically, the idea of this app is that anybody can post a bounty, something that needs to be done in the space, fund it into a contract, and then get paid. As simple as that. We want to make it headless. As you can see, you can apply to a bounty that has been posted. I'm connected right now to the FutureNet. You can create a new submission for this bounty, or you can just post your own bounty yourself. There you go. And these bounties will be categorized in if the bounty is in escrow, if the bounty is open, and if the bounty is in escrow, which means that funds are already in this contract, you will be able to review it and see, okay, well, this bounty is approved, this bounty is rejected, and the funds can be, if I refresh, it should work. There you go. And the funds should be released to the person that worked on this bounty. So this is one of our initiatives for getting people involved, developers involved, and make it as headless as possible. And hopefully when Soroban is fully out, anybody could just take this project, add it to their own DAO, and like this, just keep building on the ecosystem. Everything else, you can see it in our project. I leave my contact information, guys. We are really excited to be building public, and yeah, all comments are appreciated, and we thank you a lot for your space.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was a great presentation, and definitely I have some people are sharing some love in the chat as well. So Matthias asked, will you be hosting real-world events in Chile or Argentina to promote Stellar and Soroban?
We would love that so much. We're actually really excited to be able to do that. We are right now working on a new round of videos, and we would really like to present them in Chile and do kind of like a little workshop. We can talk about that further with Stellar. That would be super fun, but that's definitely the goal long term, that people can actually go there and see it in action, you know?
Awesome. Yeah, no, for sure. Also, a follow-up question. Since you're education and community related, have you reached out to any colleges or universities concerning Web3 and blockchain?
We actually having to look at different colleges. We're kind of just like looking at all people that works that knows Rust out of college and see how can we get them involved, right? And one of these ideas was making the Bounty Hunter app, so they could be part of it, and they would have like an easy way to get paid and Stellar. There is no current easy way in Chile to actually like cash out and cash in Stellar, right? We are working with our wallet to actually solve that issue. But we're definitely keeping colleges in look at, and especially we're gonna do events. Colleges are one of the ways that we would want to host these events.
Awesome. So it's great to hear. Yeah, definitely like love, like also like really furthering like the Stellar and Soroban to other parts of the world that aren't yet supported. So this is great. All right. So definitely Alejo like appreciates this. It says see a lot of value in that bounty hunter. So definitely keep us updated on your progress. We are actually ready now for our next project, our last project, last but not least. So thanks again, Tellus, for presenting. Very excited to hear what you're having to build. And so we welcome Vasily to the stage of Spatium Wallet.
Yes. Hi, everyone, once more. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to stand last but not least. So yeah, let me share my screen. Awesome. Okay, so in fact, what we are doing in Spatium is that we are creating a Web3 wallet builder, a platform empowering businesses to build self-custody wallets for their end users. And the reason for that is that we all understand the tons of opportunities Web3 and its especially Stellar offers. However, there is no such a mass adoption, the ones we all wish it would be. And what we see currently from businesses coming from both from Web2 and Web3 is a huge request for non-custodial wallets. But what we managed to get from the customer development is that they've always said, we do not want to build the wallet ourselves, but we want to base it on a solid background. And that's in fact a problem, because you might spend a fortune to build a good wallet which will remove all the mass adoption barriers, and you need another fortune to support and grow it. And in fact, there are many adoption barriers which limit adoption of also Stellar. One of them, which is we all are familiar with, is the private key management, hated completely, seed phrases, and so on and so forth. What we offer here is a great tool for all of those folks who want to build their own self-custody wallet. Is basically a foundation. A tool to bring a wallet that has an answer for all the mass adoption barriers, namely multi-party computation instead of a private key, biometric backup instead of a seed phrase, already made functionality modules for on-off ramp, swaps, DeFi, and dApps. And it should and must work the way that it's easy to integrate into existing solution or being able to create a new wallet from scratch. In fact, what we want to offer Stellar in this respect is the integration of XLM as well as all the activities Stellars offer into the Wallet Builder platform, so that every business who is currently using Spatium, and for those who are aiming to join, will be able to offer Stellar to their community. And our platform will eventually receive certain visibility. That's where we, of course, are interested in partnership with Stellar, as well as any DApp on Stellar who will be interested in offering their own self-custody wallet will be able to do that based on the platform. So why use Spatium? Because it saves tons of resources for businesses. So at the end of the day, the platform which we will offer is planned to be fully free for small businesses and small projects who do not have enough user base and etc. for them to grow. On the later stages, we also plan to completely open source everything we have. It will be like step-by-step basis, but initially it saves you tons of resources starting from design, which we will provide to everyone, like a ready-to-use Figma file, a ready-to-use wallet, as well as assistance in development, DevOps, architecture, and etc. Finally, how it works. So we will have a certain different integration options. One of them will be a box solution, so it's a ready-to-use application. You could try it yourself on Spatium.net, as well as the wallet SDK, which can be used to integrate crypto functionality into existing application or to create a new application from scratch. As well as the final part, which we think will help a lot for the wallet developers, is all-in-one cloud, where every piece of infrastructure is in one place. So you do not need to worry about the node providers, fiat to crypto and vice versa, exchange rate. You do not need to worry all those transaction history, notifications, and so on and so forth. Here it is available for you. Just use it and build the wallet you need. Finally, what we want to achieve, apart from that in our roadmap, is a few things that might be interesting for the end users. Especially, we place a huge bet on the gasless transactions, where practically anyone can issue an overdraft for the user to send the token without the native coin. And that might be an interesting case, as well as we place a huge bet on M out of N to create practically any wallet of any type. And of course, we plan to open source it as soon as it will get certain adoption within the community. And finally, it will be co-signing nodes. So yeah, that's what we want to build. So we are really looking forward to cooperation with you guys, and thanks for the opportunity to be able to stand here today.
Awesome. That was a great presentation. And definitely, thank you so much for your flexibility. I know, we, you hadn't indeed at first, prepared for, today and then kind of last minute, got the invite and whatnot. So thank you so much for your flexibility on that point. Awesome roadmap I see saying here. And definitely, I'm saying also in the chat, yes, the problems that you expressed, this is all true. Wallet setup onboarding is still a massive barrier to entry. So it's super exciting to see people trying to alleviate this issue. All right, we have a question here from Morgan. What is your mobile tech stack, and how do you go about the Apple App Store restrictions on crypto projects?
Yeah, awesome question. In fact, we had a huge issue dealing with Apple. So it currently lasts for over a month, and we are preparing a step-by-step instruction how to deal with Apple regarding the wallet updates, because yeah, indeed they severely hardened the burden for the developers to present a crypto wallet. There are certain solutions for that, so yeah, if you're interested in, we can connect after this pitch, and yeah, we can share the options here we have. So yeah, it's possible. What concerns another part of the question? Can you repeat, please, Anke? What it was?
Yeah. So let me see. So it was two questions.
Tech stack.
Yeah, tech stack. What's your mobile tech stack?
Yeah. So far within the wallet box solution, it's a hybrid application. So we use React as well as Capacitor. So it's like a single application which is run on both iOS and Android. When we speak about SDK, it will be provided in 3 languages, which will mainly be the JS, Kotlin, and Swift. So practically, this is the 3 parts we plan to release early Q2 this year. So somewhere in April.
Awesome, that's great to hear. Yeah, and Morgan also says on your other question, would love to see it in a blog or something for open consumption. There's another question by Morgan. How many integrations do you have already?
Yeah, so previously we were only delivering the white labels, so it's practically the same as the app you can see at Spatium.net, but customized for a specific customer. So currently we have 5 customers with the end user base of somewhere near 100K users. So since we are now more directing on SDK, because there is broader market for that, yeah, we are placing a bet on SDK rather than white labels we did previously. So white label is somewhere, yes, 5 projects, 100K users. So yeah, that's how the things are.
Awesome! Congratulations on 1K users, and like same reaction by Morgan as well. That's amazing. Definitely been around for a bit, and great to see this come to Stellar. All right, and last question is, maybe I missed it, but what is the business model, self-sustainability and long-term wise?
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. So we want the platform to be free for small businesses. So if you're like let's say you have less than 1K user per month, you will not be paying anything. That's for the SDK. As soon as you reach certain threshold, we will be collecting a certain license fee to continue improving the business. Yeah, it's 100K users and users. And when speaking about the cloud solution, we will be practically providing the same service as other infrastructure companies are doing. So you will have a certain free plan for the developers where you have a certain amount of credits, which you can use per API calls. When you reach certain threshold beyond this free plan, you will be able to get a paid plan and increase the API calls amount and the API limits. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Awesome, that's amazing. And also Alejo says here, the fact that you will open source it builds a lot of trust, so great decision there. Yes, we love open source software here in the Stellar ecosystem, so great job on that. We're looking forward to see how this pans out. Keep us posted, especially like in the Stellar, the community fund, like projects channels, definitely make sure to add your project there so people can communicate with you further. I think that's it for today. So thank you so much, Vasily, for presenting Spatium. And let me quickly end our, so love to see the emojis here. I'm going to quickly share my screen here to finalize everything. Oh, thank you so much, Morgan. Yeah, I'm super excited, actually. We only had a few minutes late, like 3 minutes. So thank you so much for such a smooth event, for showing up, for having amazing questions. And so right now we are in community vote. We're a little bit delayed on that front, but like our contractors have building a great system, and exciting to share more with the verified members soon. So the idea is that we do have a voting system. That said, at least for the first few rounds, the voting is not the final decider for who actually receives the awards. That will still be the selection panel as we kind of really trying to fine-tune the voting mechanism. But voting is very important because it shows that the verified members have engagement and they can build traction within the ecosystem, and we can have some exciting results from that. So it's a long-term process, but it is going on. And if you're interested, kind of like being part of the voters, or being part of like, giving feedback and whatnot, you can become SCF verified, so you can look into the details on the SCF handbook, so you can become a verified member here. We're trying to streamline this process very soon, but for now it's still this form. And so then you can actually be like even a closer part of the Stellar Community Fund and be part of all sorts of processes we use for selecting projects. All right, well, and if you're joining and you're kind of new to the ecosystem and you're hearing such awesome projects on Soroban and Stellar, we actually have programs just like this one that you can get started with. So if you're a developer, you're new to Stellar, like get started on a Stellar quest, and they also have exciting Soroban quests, and these are really like gamified ways to learn the tech. So that is at quest.stellar.org. We also have something, if you're kind of like, you're getting your feet wet, you want to do something more, we have the Sorobanathon. And as you heard here, like a lot of the projects that actually got their roots in the Sorobanathon. So this is also a really great program to take a look at. It's more for like experiment and like really trying something out to see if it sticks and you like it. And let's say you feel ready, like you want to build long term and you want to build on projects that will might have like actual users in the end. Then the Stellar Community Fund right here is where you should be. And so right now we actually, like, if you go to communityfund.stellar.org, that is the link for that, and our next deadline is actually coming up for the startup camp. So if you are interested but you're not quite sure how and what, you can actually apply to this bootcamp, and you will be connected with mentors from the Stellar Development Foundation and the broader Stellar ecosystem and community to accelerate your Stellar or Soroban-based project from idea to user-tested prototype, which is very exciting. So this is, again, it's coming up on March 28th, and you can apply on communityfund.stellar.org/bootcamp. And so for general grants, they are indeed on the awards page, but just so you know, we have around 80 or to 90% of the submissions around could actually, it would be better for them to start in the startup camp instead of the grants, because they're, just to get traction into the ecosystem. So definitely take a look at this. And so, this is, if you have any more questions, feel free to visit our websites to learn more. And I should have had a community fund, but I kind of put this together. Anyway, here's the website. You can find any information on this website. The handbook will have all the detailed information, and we're updating this. And then definitely check out all of the projects in the project channels on the Stellar Developer Discord. So thank you so much for being a part of this. Again, we really appreciate your coming here, and it's awesome to see so many people, to be honest. And I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you so much for all of the presenters here as well on the stage. All right, well, have a good one, everyone. And I see that there's some good things in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, and let's connect soon.